And I'd never heard that term before. And when the agent said that to me, oh, you've got kind of a cradle to grave piece, it was kind of insulting because I think the type of stories that I like to read are not like that, not like traditional, like beginning to end. Like, biopics, I don't like to watch. I just find them like super predictable. Like I saw that Napoleon movie here in France last year, and I was just like, all I'm doing is just like looking at my watch, waiting till Napoleon dies, because we all know he's gonna die, and it's so predictable. And it's sort of like that phrase, cradle to grave, sort of forced me to acknowledge like what I wanted to do with my book in terms of like making it something different than just one long story of a person's life. So I kind of just I came to France and I started writing and editing what I had worked on and made it more about just the time that I spent as a kid. Was a kid when I turned 17, I moved to San Francisco and went to school. And it was a really specific, particular time in San Francisco then. Uh, Historically, we were before any internet, before any cell phones, and it was a wild, reckless time for kids to live there. It was super cheap, and there were a lot of drugs, and there was a crazy, weird clash between like hippies and punk rock and political kids and apolitical kids and goth rock and bicycle messengers and kind of like weird witch people. It was a really interesting time in San Francisco. And I really feel fortunate to have been there in that time. And I just kind of started to kind of make my book more about that, like doing drugs, being gay, coming out of the closet, and what happened as a result in San Francisco in the 80s and 90s. And I called it the Royal We, kind of referring to sort of just the privileged time that we had as kids living there in that time. Felt like a kind of a sense of royalty.
What was it like reflecting back on that time where times for you kind of hurt the most and kind of rewriting what happened?
I think writing it, sitting down and like actually at my laptop and like putting the words down, I sort of was obsessed with making it sort of more of a literary read and sort of more prosy than anything. I was concerned about like I didn't want it to sound clinical or kind of like a typical autobiography. So I kind of leaned into that. And in that way, it kind of removed me a little bit from the emotions of reliving what I had done when I was a kid and all the tragedy that I had sort of like been faced with.